This story is set in the Winged Tavern, a place that exists just beyond the edge of the ordinary world. If this is your first visit, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Rowan has the fire going and your chair is waiting. To begin, find a comfortable place where you will not be disturbed. Lie down, close your eyes, and take a few slow breaths until your body settles into rest. Let everything else fall away. Tonight, the fairies have something to show you. You arrive at the Winged Tavern in the early evening, before the room has filled. The sky through the small high windows is still holding the last bruised purple of sunset, and the fire is at its evening height, generous, bright, filling the room with the smell of applewood and something faintly resinous, like pine in the deep of a forest. Rowan is behind the bar as always. She looks up when you come through the door with that expression of hers, settled, warm, the look of someone who expected you, not because she was waiting, but because you are simply someone who belongs here, the way the fire belongs in the hearth. They've been asking about you, she says. Before you can ask who, something darts past your ear, close enough that you feel the movement of air, and lands on the back of the chair nearest you with a sound like a small bell struck once. You turn. 3 fairies, sitting in a row on the chair back, no larger than your hand, regarding you with expressions of intense and barely contained excitement. The one on the left has hair the deep red of autumn leaves, and wings the color of garnets held up to firelight. The middle one's hair is the silver gray of morning mist, her wings iridescent, shifting color as she moves. The one on the right is all deep green and gold, wings like pressed leaves, hair the color of moss in the rain. You know them, in the way you know things at the Winged Tavern, without being told, just arriving in you like warmth. Rosaria, Vespra, Omnia. The 3 of them are speaking simultaneously, which is typical of fairies, and which results in the overlap of sound that is less like noise and more like music. 3 different melodies in a chord. You catch fragments. Tonight, and the meadow, and it opens, and we have been keeping it for you, and the moon is exactly right. One at a time, says Rowan from the bar without looking up. A brief pause. Then Rosaria, clearly the one who's been appointed spokesfairy by some internal negotiation you weren't present for, straightens up with great dignity and says, "There is a place we want to show you. It only opens on nights like this, and tonight is exactly the right night." Vespra adds, apparently unable to restrain herself, "We've been waiting ages." Omnia simply nods with deep solemnity and holds up one small hand in which she is carrying, you now notice, 3 fireflies cupped together gently, glowing in her palm. Rowan gives you a warm drink for the road, a small flask that fits in your pocket. Its contents warm against your hip as you follow the 3 fairies out a door in the back of the tavern that you haven't noticed before. It's smaller than the front door, almost hidden behind a curtain of dried lavender, and it opens not onto a lane, but onto a field. The night has fully arrived. The sky above the field is enormous and clear, the kind of sky that only exists away from city light, thick with stars, the Milky Way a visible river of silver above you. The air is cool and alive, and with the smell of growing things, grass and clover, and the faint sweetness of something blooming at the field's edge. The fairies hover just ahead of you, their wings catching the starlight, leaving faint trails of luminescence in the air, the way brushstrokes leave paint on canvas. Rosaria beckons. You follow. The field is larger than it seemed from the doorway. You walk through grass that comes to your knees, and the fairies light the path. Not enough light to see by exactly, but enough to follow. Their glow a warm amber gold that pulses softly in rhythm with something you slowly realize is music. Very faint, just beneath the threshold of hearing, but there. At the far edge of the field, where the land rises gently toward a tree line, the grass gives way to something else. A ring. You see it as you approach, a perfect circle of different colored grass, and within it, something in the air itself has changed. The quality of the light, the way sound behaves, the specific feeling of a place that stands at an intersection of what is visible and what is not. It's a fairy ring. Omnia releases the fireflies. They drift upward and begin to circle the ring, slow and steady, marking its boundary with moving light. Rosaria turns to look at you over her shoulder, and her expression has lost its excitement and become something older. Respectful, careful, the face of someone who is about to show you something sacred. Stand at the edge, she says. Don't step in yet, just look. So you stand at the edge of the fairy ring and you look. At first, nothing. The circle of grass, the fireflies circling, the stars above. Then, gradually, the way your eyes adjust in a dark room, not all at once, but in increments, you begin to see what is already there. The ring is full of light, not bright light, the deep, soft luminescence of something alive that has been waiting in stillness. Forms move within it, barely visible, like shapes in water. The air inside the ring shimmers faintly, as though it is made of something slightly different than the air outside of it. Vespra hovers at your shoulder. This is where the world is thin, she says quietly. For once, she is not impatient. This place has made her solemn. In the tavern world, and in yours too, places where what is here and what is there come close enough to touch. Omnia has landed on your shoulder, light as a leaf, and you feel her small hand pat your cheek once with tremendous gentleness. What do you need? Asks Rosaria from the air in front of you. She is serious now, the fairy diplomat, the spokeswoman. The ring can hold an intention. Whatever you bring to the edge, whatever you name, in your heart, if not out loud, the thin place receives it, carries it. Sometimes things come back answered, and not always the way you expect. You understand. You stand at the edge of the thin place in the world, and you bring to mind the thing that has been present in you lately. Not the surface thing, the busy thing, but the underneath thing. The question you haven't been able to answer. The thing you most need but can't quite name yet. The direction you've been reaching toward in the dark. You name it in your heart, quietly, with honesty. The ring shimmers. The fireflies pulse once brighter. And something, a warmth, a clarity, a sense of something having been received, moves through the air between you and the circle and settles somewhere in your chest. Not an answer, something better than an answer. The sense that the question has been heard, that it is being held somewhere larger than you, that the reaching you've been doing in the dark has not been in vain. The three fairies are quieter on the walk back, not less happy, a different kind of happiness, the kind that comes after something real has happened and everyone who was present knows it. Rosaria flies just ahead, her garnet wings leaving fading trails. Vespra does a slow loop once, not from restlessness, but from the simple pleasure of flight in the night air. Omnia walks beside you on the top of the grass, walking, not flying, very small and very present, occasionally reaching up to touch the seed heads on the grasses as you pass by. The tavern comes into view ahead, its windows warm, the smell of applewood smoke reaching you while you're still in the field. Rowan opens the back door before you reach it. She has hot drinks ready. She looks at you with that particular expression, the one that says she knows what happened and is glad, and asks no questions because the questions aren't hers to ask. The three fairies dart to their favorite rafter, high above the room, and begin a quiet conversation in their light language. Shapes drifting between them in the firelight air, amber and rose and deep green. Occasionally, one of the shapes drifts downward and lands on you, wherever you're sitting, and dissolves with a warmth like a blessing. You settle into your chair by the fire. The room is fuller now. More beings arrived while you were out, settling into their familiar places. The low murmur of the tavern evening rising and falling like a tide. You hold the flask that Rowan gave you, still warm somehow. You drink the rest of it slowly. The thing you named at the ring is still there in your chest, sitting quietly, not answered, held. And sometimes being held is the beginning of the answer you didn't know you needed. Above you, Omnia has stopped talking to the others and is looking down at you from the rafter. She catches your eye. She nods once, small, certain, the nod of someone who has done this 100 times and knows that what happened tonight was exactly what it was supposed to be. The fire burns deep in its hearth. Rosaria, Vespra, and Omnia fold their wings and settle in the high, warm dark of the rafters. The thin place held your question. It is working on the answer in its own way and in its own time. For now, the fire, the warm drink, the room full of beings who are simply glad that you are here. sleep finds you gently, the way it always does in the Winged Tavern, not falling into it, but being gathered into it, like something carried carefully home.